Just got this 2 days ago. It's a 78 or 79 model. In good condition. Nothing major wrong with it. Came with wheel weights and all this stuff. Plow. Got the frame. Got the control bar. Got the bracket. Mule drive. 42-inch mower deck. Chains. $125. And it was running and driving when I bought it. A friend of mine actually found this at auction. And he called me up the day after he got it. He said, I think I have something you might want. And when he was explaining to me like what it was saying, like the stickers and the engine it had, I knew right away what it was. It's kind of weird how it just fell into my lap, because I've been looking for this particular model ever since I started, been into this stuff. And either, you find one for sale and they'd want a lot of money for it, or it would have the Onan 18. And I don't really care for the Onan, because as good of an engine as they are, they're a bitch when it comes to repairing them, when you have to rebuild them. It's a lot of hassle. Mainly because of the cost. It's hard to locate parts. So this is, as far as I know, I think these were only available in 78 and 79. And then in 80, the newer body style came out, and it would have been the GTV, 16 horsepower, and the engine would have been situated with the flywheel facing back. So have some missing cooling shrouds. My buddy said he might be able to find them yet, along with the paperwork, which would be really great. So I don't run it too hard with the cooling shrouds missing, even though this thing's closed up pretty well and air seems to get around. Just isn't right. Now all the fiberglass is here, but you can see, yep, there's issues. It's cracked in the front. The other side's not doing too good either, so that's the weak point of these things. They always have broken fiberglass, or it's completely missing. So this thing looked really rigged. There was a lot of stuff routed different, and all kinds of weird stuff going on as far as the wiring, like how things were wrapped up and tied together. I cleaned everything up. Everything's pretty much the way it should be. Nothing extra or stupid things hanging off of it. They had I guess they're running without the cooling shrouds, because in the ignition wires they had them like just hanging out of here, and then had them rerouted all the way over. So the wires looked a lot newer, so just out of curiosity I took the shroud off. And at one point someone did an electronic conversion, so it has a electronic coil, and it doesn't use the points anymore. Up to 1981, I think, these engines had points, and you can see the cover under there. And what's weird is they did the conversion, but they ran the kill wire still to underneath the cover. So I guess the points are disconnected, because it wouldn't work right if the points were still connected and the electronic coil was firing at the same time. The reason why they're messing with the shrouds is because here, the head gaskets, both of them were leaking really bad. The bolts are pretty loose, but even with them tightened down, it's still leaking bad. And it actually had a really hard time starting when it was cold. So I just did the gaskets today. Got all the compression back, and it starts and runs so much better. And both the spark plugs were totally wrong. They used, I think, CJ8 and some other plug that didn't even have a name on it. So I got the right spark plugs in it. Battery, that was in there, and it's relatively new. I think someone was doing work this before they sold it, and they just got tired of it, because this is a fairly new battery. And can't really tell now, but the carburetor, like main jet adjuster, pilot jet adjuster, they look brand new, they're shiny. And the gaskets look like relatively new, they're not weathered looking, so someone was messing with the carburetor. Was what it was doing when I first started it, when I bought it to get it up on the truck. It would rev, it was running almost at full governed speed, but no matter where you put the throttle, it just wouldn't move, it wouldn't change very much. So when I had this all apart, the main issue was the throttle was just hung up. I mean, I could back out the screw and try to get it back down at the idle, but I couldn't. It only went so far, so it was binding. So I took the throttle plate out. I took the carburetor off just to check it out. I had to. Took the throttle plate out and sanded out the bore lightly, just a little bit, and put it back together, and then it freed it up. Now it moves like it's supposed to, and it's not revving all crazy. Air cleaner was full of oil, and I thought I was going to have a breather issue. They weren't covered with the paint like the rest of the shrouds would have been, so maybe either they replaced or someone had them off the clean, whatever. They're just looked different. So the breather so far has been doing okay. I put a new air cleaner in it, got everything cleaned up there and back together. It's doing all right. Oil level's correct. Still got to change the oil. Should be done. So enough of that BS. Let's go for it. Probably still the original tires, because they all say Sears on them, and they have a good amount of dry rot on them on the side. But what's amazing, if they're still here, they should have been, well, this was probably kept inside most of its time of its life, so that helped it out. And they're all still holding air, and I don't think even the fronts have tubes in them, which is really something. I really like these tires. They're like turf savers that actually grab and dig in. Now this thing originally had an electric assist lift installed from the factory, because on the schematic, which this actually has, which everything should have, because this is really awesome, right in the middle there, up down switch, lift motor assembly. So my lift motor isn't on here. Oddly enough, I have a lift motor that I think belongs in one of these, because it has the same connector and it would fit. We'd like to get that to work. That'd be great. Or even get a 3-point or some kind of action going here. Pretty cool. All the lights work, by the way. Usually these go missing or they're broken. Typical steering thing with all the roper stuff. Steering sector bearing. I think the steering rods, these are replaced. The ball joints, I think they're not original. Someone actually did them, because they should have a lot more wear on them. All that play is just coming from that bearing on the sector gear. From what my friend told me, the story I got was it stayed in the same family, and they just basically kept it in working order and did what they had to keep it running. So it's pretty good.